Our guest today is Tom O'Neill. Tom O'Neill is a leading international specialist in human potential and personal achievement. As well as this, he is an author and contributor in career advancement to various global career guides and software packages, and is also the developer of the innovative Compass Goal Achievement Program. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce. It's a real privilege to be on.
Well, what got you interested in the area of goal development?
I've got a real passion for people. I love people. In growing up in New Zealand, where I'm based now, I started off in the recruitment field. I qualified in psychology, Bachelor of Psychology, and then went into recruitment. And recruitment was all about helping one person find one job. And that was great, very rewarding, and great career. From there, though, I started to move into my company called cv.co.nz and resumementor.com. And they are more resume development consultancies. And from there, I morphed, if you will, into more of a career consultant. And the problem with that was I just noticed time and time again, people would come to me with life issues, expecting a better job would sort those life issues out, would make those life issues better. If I get a job as a more senior accountant, or if I get a job as a more senior HR practitioner, if I get a job as a higher paying sales role, that will repair my relationships, that will repair my trauma with my son, that will make me a better person. And unfortunately, earning an extra $40,000 a year doesn't necessarily go a long way to repairing the relationship with your wife. Yeah, from there I developed the Compass Goal Achievement Program, which really takes a structured way at helping a person put in place a really active approach to really achieving their life goals.
Well, I think sometimes people write down their goals and they have good intentions, but then they think it's done. It's sort of like a weight program. You join the gym and then you don't go, and you think the weight will just magically fall off of you.
Oh, wow, yeah, done that, yeah.
It doesn't happen. So do you think that's the reason why some people succeed and some people fail?
I think the issue with some people succeeding, some people failing is that, well, I suppose put it this way, people spend 6 months planning their wedding. They spend, or a year or 2 years planning their wedding. They spend 100 hours figuring out which second-hand car to buy and going around all the places and checking all the cars, etc. But they don't spend 5 hours over their entire life working on their life goals. It just blows me away, but I see it time and time and time again. Only 5% of people are really, really that keen to sit down in a structured way and really invest serious time in working on their goals. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't know how best to start. They'll write some smart goals, put them in the bottom drawer, and then miraculously 5 years later find them again and go, oh, that's right, I remember writing these. Unfortunately, I think it's not having a structure and not taking the time to be disciplined to do it.
Well, you are right. Probably about 95% of people do put this in a bottom drawer because they wrote them down, so they think that that's all they needed to do. And many people never, ever achieve their goals. And Maslow's chart really says that well, because only 2 to 5% of people actually reach that self-actualization point in their life, and that's only after self-esteem, and that's what it takes to succeed. You have to have that self-esteem, and 5% of the people will have that. It's kind of an interesting number. It always pops up.
Absolutely.
What are the 3 common mistakes people make when they write their goals down and put them in the bottom drawer?
I think the first problem is people get all excited. If you finally manage to get them excited about writing goals, what they then go and do is just do too much too soon. They set themselves effectively up to fail. A friend of mine here in New Zealand said that, with goals, it's been shown that when people write them short term, they overreach themselves. They put too much in to achieve. But long term, underreach themselves. Actually can achieve more than they realise in 10-year time frame. So I think the first thing is people do too much early on, and they set themselves up to fail, or set themselves too many challenging goals in the short term. And that discourages them, of course, when you don't start hitting those goals. Secondly, non-quantifiable. You need to write goals that you can measure. Saying be a better father isn't a goal. That's a dream. That's a vision. But putting down something like taking boys to a camping trip in October for a weekend. That's a goal. That's something you can tangibly say, yes, I achieved it. No, I didn't. And finally, not being held accountable. This isn't in a lot of goal programs, but it's certainly something I believe. Now, Dr. Gail Matthews at the Dominican University of California did a study in 2007, which actually said people who do their goals and are held accountable to their goals are achieve their goals 76% ahead of people who are not accountable. And my wife is my accountability partner, so it's always terrifying having to go to her and say, sorry, honey, I didn't do these 14 things. So it's great having her around. So she makes sure that, go out of my way to really hit those goals.
Absolutely. It's great having an accountability partner. I have one. I've been married 42 years, and my husband is my accountability partner, and it's just wonderful to have somebody make you be specific about your goals, because most people have general. Those are the ones that are in the bottom drawer. And specific goals get done. And as you can see, you got up at 4:30 in the morning to make this phone call. So it was important to you to have a radio show interview MP3 for your marketing purposes, and it's important to me to meet people from all over the world. So it's a win-win situation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, how do you think the best way for people to be more effective in their goal development?
The first thing you really want to do is have a structure in place about setting your goals. Not just sort of saying, okay, this is what I want, this is what I want in 10 years. You really want to have a firm structure in place about what you need to do, what you need to achieve. So even before you write them, know where you are, know what you want, and know what's important in life. So that's the first thing. Second thing, you want to be accountable to someone, as I talked about before. You really want to make sure you've got someone who is around that can make sure you hit those goals, or at least are walking towards them. And thirdly, really be focused. Really be focused in the process. Set up some success celebration tools near the end, or some opportunities to celebrate when you reach each of your goals, and that then just keeps the motivation going.
That's excellent advice. I love the word compass, because your Compass Goal Achievement Program, that's exactly what it is. It's a compass. And I love that. Again, people will remember it, and it definitely will give them a tool for them to move forward with a goal. So can you describe a bit your Compass Goal Achievement Program for the listeners?
No problem. Well, firstly, Compass stands, each letter stands for a different stage of the program. C, consider. Consider your starting point. Where are you today? Be honest. When we do this exercise, the first exercise, it asks people to think, well, what are the important things in my life? What are the 4, 5, 6, 7 things that are vital? What are the key things? Family, faith, friends, financial security, challenge. What are the things in life that are absolutely essential? We then measure how important they are, and then from there we then measure how close or far away you are from achieving where you want to be in those goals. This is who I am, and this is where I need to really go to the next stage. The second one is O for opportunity. If you had the opportunity to do anything in life, what would it be? Dream big. We do a visioning exercise here to really get people thinking outside the box. M is map. Map out your goals, and then we use a SMART methodology: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But unfortunately, this is where most people stop. They write their goals and then think, okay, great, I've done it. I mean, you'll see from us, we've now still got another 4 steps to go. P, proceed. Start taking active steps towards your goals and move forward. Here we actually get our course members to write down 10 things they're going to do this week to start working towards their goals. P, proceed. after that, assess. Regularly assess your goals to make sure they're in line with your life today. It's vital that you go back and say, okay, what's working, what's not, what needs to be pushed out time-wise, what is not relevant anymore. I mean, when I was a young man, one of my goals was to have a classic car collection. I'm now 39, married with 2 boys, and I need a classic car collection like a hole in the head. And then also S for score, finish, work hard towards completing your goals. Many people start but never finish, so this is just a call to action to finish. And finally, success. Celebrate your success. Be proud of your achievements. You've earned it. And so celebrating the thing that when you achieve a goal, to really make sure that you're really looking forward to achieving it, you're really looking forward to completing it. Sarah, my wife, and I, when we were knee-deep in nappies about 4 years ago, we suddenly thought, let's start saving money for a trip to Europe. So we started saving $20 a week for when the boys leave home. So, 20 years time odd, we should have a good amount there, ready to just go to Europe and, have 6 months travelling around. And that's the sort of vision, we take towards this.
It's a wonderful vision, and it's a good idea, because even though it's a small amount of money, it does add up over time.
Oh, absolutely.
I have a 1% principle I've told my children all of their lives, even today when they're in their 30s. I tell them 99% of what they worry about isn't going to happen. It's that little pesky 1% that we didn't expect that pops up. And I understand you have a 1% principle. I'm sure it's different than mine in a big way, but please explain that to me.
Yeah, sure. Well, the 1% principle is the title of my new book. It will be coming out in 2011. The 1% principle, what can you do today to make your life 1% better? The problem with goal planning, goal development, is people think, oh no, it's this big massive thing. I've really got to work really hard and do all this big structure. But not necessarily. In the short-term way, what's one thing you can do today to make your life 1% better? It could be just making a phone call to a family member that needs some support or, repair some relationships. It might be sending that email that you've always been wanting to do, to write that article for that magazine that, you'd love to be published in. Whole range of different things, but what's just one thing you can do today to make your life 1% better?
I love it because it's so doable for everybody.
Absolutely.
And people will look at this and remember 1% principle. Okay, what can I do today? Do something that I want to do or change something that I've already done. And I've always done this. I haven't called it the 1% principle, but I'll start calling it that now. I always say, I'm going to do something today just to change the life of one person.
Yep.
And I always make sure if it's 11 o'clock at night, I'll email someone and tell them how special they are to me. I'll do something every day to make myself do something to change a life. That really works really good for me.
Dr. Joyce, change a life, change the world.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Well, as one of your articles that you talk about the power of asking. People don't realize that people usually will say yes. So can you talk a little bit more about this?
Absolutely. I honestly feel that asking is the most underused tool we have. I think I'm probably could be construed as being maybe a bit bullshit because I ask for things. But at the end of the day, you don't ask, you don't get. There's a very famous Carnegie Mellon University professor, Randy Pulsch, who unfortunately passed away a little while ago. Talked about this wonderful story. He used to be an Imagineer at Disneyland, and his father was with his father and his children at a Disneyland as a customer, And the monorail came along, and his dad said, it'd be really great to sit up the front, but I'm sure they'd never let you. And he said, Dad, I've worked here for a number of years, and I know the secret. And so the driver got out and was walking along past him, and he said, excuse me, can we please sit in the front? The guy turned to them and said, yeah, sure, no problems, jump in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not rocket science. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be in the position where you are right now.
Well, you're definitely preaching to the choir. When I just finished my book that I just wrote, I asked people that I did not know that were greats in the industry. And they all said yes, and they all put quotes on the back of my book, and they don't know me. They know about me, but I asked them, and I think that they're flattered when people are asked, and it doesn't hurt for people to have some exposure with their name out there. And I couldn't believe the people, the quality of the people that I admire most in the world, put quotes on my book. So
Amazing, yeah.
I just asked. I'm sure if I asked you, you would say yes. Everybody says yes. And so I think the problem most people have is the other way around, where people have trouble saying no, which tells you that they're going to say yes. It's kind of a, definitely roundabout. So what are the people, most people have people that they admire. So who do you admire most in the world?
I think, obviously people like Zig Ziglar. I mean, incredible motivator and exciter of persons. Tony Robbins, of course, awakened the giant within when I was a young fellow, probably 20 years ago. My pastor from a church, he said, all right, we're going to do a Awaken the Giant Within course. So we all diligently sat down over a period of about 4 or 5 months, just basically went through the book and just took a lot of the action steps that to some degree became the foundation for my Compass program. And also, I think probably one of the greatest heroes to me is a chap called Dr. James Dobson, who you may have heard of in America. He is a talk show host and a psychologist, and he's got a syndicated radio show through the Radio Rima network here in New Zealand. Yeah, his whole approach to life is something that really spoke to me when I was a young fellow, and as I moved through life, still speaks to me today.
Okay, well, those are great people. Tony Robbins I admire so much because he didn't listen to what anybody said, and he just became great anyway. And I'm proud to say that he's a fan of mine on Facebook and follows me on Twitter. So I feel very good. He's one of the greats I contacted, and it's just really, they're wonderful people. Successful people are wanting to help other successful people.
That's exactly right. And can I just say, you just said something there that totally spoke to me. He wanted to succeed no matter what people said. And the thing is, as soon as you stick your head up, someone wants to shoot it off, Right. As soon as you start to, reach your goals, as soon as you even tell people that you're starting to do a goal program, you're starting to write your own goals, there's going to be people go, oh, yeah, well, it's just useless, I did it, and I'm not a millionaire. Succeed anyway. You just have to take that mindset, and sometimes it can be hurtful when the people that, some of you love the most, are the people that can be the most disparaging when you start to really kick this process off and really get excited about it. I ran this course recently in a place called Whangarei, up the north of New Zealand, and 2 people there really loved the course and were really excited about it, but both of their partners are people who would never normally sit down and write goals. And so for them it's a touch hard because as soon as they start to work on their goals, they sort of get the flea in the ear saying, well, what, isn't life good enough now? And so, succeed anyway, I would say.
Definitely. You have to have tough skin, and that's been my most difficult task because as you succeed, it's very difficult. However, as a self-esteem counselor, I can tell you that naysayers are insecure and unhappy people.
Oh, of course, and that stems from their whole need to pull others down, unfortunately. That's
true. Well, when goals don't go according to your plan, what are some things listeners can do to get back on track?
I had a little story, if I can share it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. My wife and I and my 2 boys, who are 4 and 5, my 5-year-old just started school a couple of days ago. We're very exciting here. We live in a small farm outside a place called Auckland in the northern part of New Zealand. And we've got a little farmlet. And my wife convinced us when we moved here 3 years ago from the city to get some chickens. So we bought some chickens for fresh eggs, and soon enough we had eggs every day. It was fantastic. But one day my chicken, whose name was Henny, passed away, and so my wife and I thought it was an opportunity to talk to the boys about life and death and all that sort of stuff. So I went and dug a grave, and we had a funeral service, and we all had a prayer. And then I said to my son, "Go on, love, put Henny in the grave." And as he put Henny, my ex-chicken, in, he sort of dropped her, and she sort of landed right way up. And it was all a bit weird, so I got the spade to sort of move Henny over a bit to the left, so Henny would be lying respectfully at the bottom. And as I pushed the spade down, unfortunately the chicken's last breath came back through its vocal cords, and it made a squawking sound.
Oh no!
And suddenly, bark. And my two boys screamed and ran off, and my wife and I were just standing there looking at each other, thinking, "What the flippin' heck's going on?" and after we managed to get them back and calm them down and everything, it was all okay. But from there I came up really with three main principles about what you need to do. The first is, have a sense of humour. Things are gonna really blindside you. Things are gonna, as you say, that 1% you never even thought of,
right,
will just come along and just bang, take you out. And so just have a bit of a sense of humour with things. Sometimes things aren't always necessarily as bad as it seems. Secondly, things don't always go according to plan. How hard is it to bury a chicken?
I never thought of that, I have to tell you, Ed, Tom.
But things always get in the way of us achieving our goals, And the bigger the goal, the higher the chance it's going to be disrupted by life in some way. So, just understand that things aren't going to go according to plan, and set up contingencies. So, saving for your house if you lose your job. Well, obviously you're not necessarily going to throw $300 a week at extra savings. So things will not always go according to plan, and just roll with the punches a bit. And thirdly, if other people don't share your vision for the goal you set, they may not complete their tasks quite to the standard that you would want. For example, Tim putting chicken in the grave. And so because of that, what you want to do is either get them on board, get them excited about the goal too, or as much as possible control the process. Some things matter, some things don't, and I suppose it's really important just to try and think about what are the things that are vital and mission critical to achieving my goals, and have direct control over those. For the other things that are a bit more not quite as critical, hey, be a bit more relaxed about it.
This is a great story, and what a great opportunity to teach your children how things happen when you don't expect them, and then have a sense of humor about it. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we probably didn't live it out perfectly when it happened. There was lots of screaming, running, yelling, calling, but hey.
Well, I would imagine that would be a normal response to what you're describing. Well, what is visioning, and is it important?
Yeah, visioning is basically a technique I use, whereby I sit down. I'll just be putting myself in the place of being successful. I'm a professional speaker, a keynote speaker, and things I like to do is just I'll be sitting outside or just driving or whatever, and I'll just do a little visioning exercise where I put myself in a place of excellence, where I put myself in a place where I'm doing what I do really well. I'll put in my mind, I'm standing in front of 10,000 people at a dome, and really talking hard about goals and getting people excited. These sort of things help cement in your brain pathways that really get you to start to, or encourage you and get you start to believe that yes, it is possible. I mean, if we listen to everybody, we'd never do anything, because unfortunately people tend to be, or many people tend to be a bit sort of negative, or a bit sort of, oh look, I don't know if you can actually do that, because you're just so and so. I mean, if as you say, Tony Robbins or Zig Ziglar believed that many years ago, we wouldn't have great speakers like that, in the world. So visioning for myself is just really thinking of the goal, when it's achieved, how you're going to feel, what sort of things, will you do. For example, let's say wanting a convertible. I'm bald, but, for other people who have hair, the feeling of driving down the motorway with, the roof off, the wind blowing through your hair, music playing loudly, those sort of things. Visioning and really getting yourself excited about your goal.
I think excitement is very important. It's like passion. If you have passion for what it is you're doing, then you can visualize it, and then you can do it. Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins are great examples of that because they believed in themselves, and they had self-esteem. So what is the biggest lesson you've had in life? We all get lessons in life, but what have been yours?
I mean, I've been very blessed to have a wonderful family and a wonderful business. I think part of the blessing is that I've had a real passion for it. I don't think people succeed in anything long-term if they don't have a deep, deep passion for the field. I mean, you can be an accountant, you can be probably a successful accountant, but if you're not really into accounting, it won't be a passion. It won't be something that, you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh, great, I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z, So having a real passion for what you do is absolutely vital. Find something that you love. Find something that you are so excited about. And, I'd encourage you not necessarily to quit your job tomorrow to go and follow it, but set up goals. Set up goals about how you can potentially be involved in the industry that you're passionate about, maybe part-time, maybe voluntary to start with. Over time, then slowly work your way into it. Having that passion is the difference, I really feel, between just living and achieving. Having the passion is probably 80% of the issue.
Well, that's the 80-20 Pareto principle, I think. Definitely, that is something that you're preaching to the choir about, because I believe that passion. I always say, don't quit your day job. But build on what you really passionately want to do, because we shouldn't go through life working somewhere we're not happy with or not doing something we're passionate about, don't you think?
Absolutely, and this is what, as an ex-career consultant, you'd see all the time. People coming in, hating their job, they've hated the previous 5 jobs, and they think the next job will be different. It's not the job, it's not your colleagues, it's the fact that you don't necessarily enjoy what you do.
Absolutely.
But the problem is we can't all quit our jobs right now and become a Coast Guard or become a, novel writer, But what we can do is go and enlist in the local Coast Guard to maybe do a weekend a month. What we can do is actually dust off the laptop and write the first chapter.
Well, that's definitely great advice, because I think there's been studies out that most people do not like their jobs, and so it's important for them to sort of take inventory, maybe compasses what they need to do in order to do that. If you had to sum up the processes of goal setting in one word, what would it be?
Focus would be that one word. Without focus, you've got nothing. Without focus, you don't have the motivation, the passion, the desire, the drive, any of that to achieve. It's what tends to happen is people, especially in today's society, we tend to split ourselves over 50,000 different things. I'll go and do this, and I'll go and do that, and do this, and achieve this, and la la la. And what ends up happening is you don't do anything particularly well. A chap called Craig Dew here in New Zealand, he's a social media expert, and he said to me one day that, I said, flipping heck, you've got Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and da-da-da-da-da. And he said to me, Tom, just do one thing well. Do one thing well. Once you've mastered that one thing, be it LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, do the next thing. And, and I mean, I think that's a philosophy you can take in life, Focus, focus, focus. Do one thing well. Once you've knocked that off, great, jump on to the next thing.
And focus helps you to clarify. And I always say to people, focus and clarify. And so once they do that, then they know where they want to go, and they will make it, just like the Tony Robbins of the world, who just believed. And was at a time when people really needed that kind of motivation, and still do. So I think it's wonderful advice. And Tom, how could people read the article that you spoke to me about?
Well, they can do a range of different things. They can visit my website, tomoneil.com. That's TOMONEIL.com. And if you go to the news page on my website, you can go and have a look at all my tweets and my LinkedIn profile, my articles, and podcasting. I podcast through iTunes and got thousands of listeners all around the world.
That's wonderful. Well, Tom, I've enjoyed speaking with you so much today. Very good information. Thank you so much for being our guest today on the ImageMaker Presents.
Dr. Joyce, it's a real privilege for you to be a guest and to speak to both you and your listeners. So God bless, my friend.
Thank you so much.